Hey guys, Emma here, also known as 8vinyllow, bringing you all another video. Today's video is going to be a response video for my friend Hannah over at the Omaha Introvert. Hannah recently uploaded a fantastic video sort of highlighting the power pop genre as well as providing background about the genre, origins of the background. She shared information about bands that sort of influenced this surge of the power pop genre, and we definitely see bands coming up in the late 70s, bands like Cheap Trick kind of taking this power pop genre and making it their own. And disclaimer, right, I'm a huge Cheap Trick fan, so what I'm about to say next isn't that much of a shocker, and I'm sure I'm going to hear a dispute down in the comments below, but I truly believe that Cheap Trick, that they're the kings of power pop, and that they do power pop the best. One of the reasons why I think that is because they claim the power pop genre as their own. They have no problem being called a power pop band. In fact, they embrace it. They love the fact that they are a quote unquote power pop band. And they just do it better. They do power pop better, whatever that means. But again, number one Cheap Trick fan here. But anyway, I wanted to get that out, but I truly believe that. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to jump in on this thread that Hannah created. Because one, I love power pop, and two, my favorite band, they're the kings of power pop. So definitely wanted to jump in on that. But what I want to do with this video, and like I said, you need to check out Hannah's video if you haven't already. What I'm going to do is I'm going to link it down in the description below. Please go check it out. She gives a wonderful overview about the genre, background, origins, and then she even goes into her favorite power pop albums and bands. And that's what I kind of want to do here with this video. I'm not going to give background or information. You can go check out Hannah's video for that, right? Power pop, catchy, energetic, melodic, stuff like that. You can get all that information there. What I want to do in this video is basically just share with all of you my top 5 favorite power pop albums. So that's what we're going to do. So first album, such a shock, right? This is Cheap Trick's 1977 debut album. Again, it being Cheap Trick, power pop is their sound, so I could have chosen really any Cheap Trick album, but for the sake of this video, I'm just going to pick my personal favorite Cheap Trick album, which is their 1977 debut. Now I know that Hannah chose their album, Cheap Trick's album Heaven Tonight, as her favorite Cheap Trick album and one of her favorite power pop albums, which again is a fantastic choice, and that one's from 1978. And a little information about that. So also in Hannah's video, what she did is towards the beginning, she started talking about bands that influenced kind of this rise and surge of power pop in the late 70s. She mentioned 2 bands, and the first band that I want to touch on just real quickly, because we always have to have a Cheap Trick connection here, is The Move. Rick Nielsen from Cheap Trick is a huge fan of Roy Wood, and was a huge fan as they were kind of exploring the sound of Cheap Trick even before this album came out. So Nielsen's this huge fan of Roy Wood, which makes him a huge fan of the band The Move. And Hannah was talking about how The Move influenced bands, and it definitely influenced the power pop genre. Well, you see that. You know that's a fact because that's where basically Cheap Trick gets their sound. They're influenced by The Move, and then Hannah also mentions the band Nas with Todd Rundgren. Nielsen's a huge Todd Rundgren guy, and he loved the Nas as well. So 2 bands that Hannah mentioned, Nas and The Move, both had a huge impact and influence on Nielsen, which later led into the sound of Cheap Trick, 100%. So Nielsen, huge fan of Roy Wood. You see that on Heaven Tonight. Heaven Tonight, they cover California Man by The Move. In 1997, on their Baby Talk EP, they cover Brontosaurus by The Move. Their latest album in 2017, We're All Right. They cover Blackberry Way, which is a fantastic cover. If you haven't listened to Cheap Trick's cover of Blackberry Way, please go check it out now. But they cover Blackberry Way by The Move. So totally influenced by The Move and The Move sound. Okay. Also, Nas, right? Hannah mentioned Nas as being these bands that influenced the power pop bands to come. Again, Nielsen completely impacted by them. Nielsen ended up going to England with Tom Peterson, bassist of Cheap Trick, in 1969. And I don't know the full story about this, but here's what I know. At some point, Nielsen met up with Rundgren. Rundgren introduced Stookie and Mooney to Nielsen. Stookie and Mooney played in Nielsen's band at the time called Fuse, and even sometimes, this is what I've heard, and even sometimes, Nielsen, Stookie, and Mooney's kind of band Fuse at the time would sometimes be billed under the name The Nas. So there's just random fact for you. I find it really interesting. Again, I don't know the full story, but I just wanted to share it because it kind of fit in. But yeah, The Nas, The Move, right? These earlier bands that influenced bands like Cheap Trick, you can definitely see it because it's fact. It's fact. That's who Nielsen points to as having a major influence on him. And then again, you can see that with their covers and their kind of tribute to those bands. So, number 1, Cheap Trick's 1977 album. All right, my second favorite power pop album, Paul Collins' The Beat. This is The Beat's debut record from 1979. Fantastic record. Kicks off with Rock and Roll Girl. It doesn't get more power pop than that. Again, power pop, in my opinion, right? Something that's catchy and melodic, has energy. So, this album's great. I love this. All right. Number 3, the Knack. This has been in every power pop video that I have seen, but it is really one of the best power pop albums of all time, so you can't go wrong with it. From 1979, one of the best-selling debut albums of all time, of course, My Sharona. You have to pick this. If this is in your top 5 power pop albums, what are you doing? You know what? It's shown all the time, I get it, but it's that good. It's just so good. It's just a classic record. Again, there's a reason why it's one of the best-selling debuts of all time. Even though, because my bias needs to kick in, I think this is better. This debut is better. But in terms of sales, this one has the receipts to bring to the table. So, the Knack. One album that I don't have that is one of my favorite power pop albums, it's coming in at number 4, and these aren't ranked by favorites, even though I started with Cheap Trick. There's not a set rank, they're just my top 5. But Shoes, the band Shoes, another band that was influenced by Cheap Trick, and actually Shoes, they're from Zion, Illinois. So Cheap Trick's from Rockford, Illinois, Shoes, they're from Zion, Illinois, and actually, here's just another fun fact. I went to go see Cheap Trick play in Waukegan, Illinois, back in June, and during Surrender, they ended up bringing out former members of Shoes to come perform Surrender with them. So I thought that was super cool. But the Shoes in 1977 released the album Black Vinyl Shoes, and I just have it here, and I'm going to see if I can get a picture posted so you can see the album and see if you're familiar with it. But yeah, they released that. Favorite songs off of there are She'll Disappear and Capital Gain, 2 fantastic songs. I listen to that album all the time. I don't have it in physical form. I don't have it on vinyl or CD. I eventually do want to see if I can get it on vinyl. However, I stream it all the time. Love the Shoes, and especially really started getting into them after seeing them perform with Cheap Trick. So, and I love Illinois bands, so I might be a little biased there. And also just random fun fact about Illinois bands. There is a new project right now called the Illinois Rock and Roll Museum, and they're trying to open an Illinois Rock and Roll Museum in Joliet, Illinois, on Route 66, and they're doing some sort of like Hall of Fame thing to go with it, and Cheap Trick is actually in the first Hall of Fame class of 2020 for the Illinois Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I don't know, but just thought I'd share with you if you didn't know that that was coming. There is going to be a new music Illinois Rock and Roll History Museum showing up sometime within the next year. So I'm super excited about it. I'm gonna check it out once that opens up. All right, so shoes was number 4, and then number 5 we have Lowe, Labor of Lust from 1979. Lots of fantastic albums coming out in 1979, especially for power pop. But of course this has Cruel to Be Kind on it. So another great single and great album. So those are my top 5 favorite power pop albums. Again, if you haven't seen Hannah's video, I'm going to link it down below. Please go check it out. She does just such a phenomenal job. I loved it. And again, it influenced me to create this video. So anyway, that's all I have for this video, guys. I will see you all for my next. Bye, guys.